everyone for joining us today for our Fearlessly Authentic, It All Starts With You. So we have a really great hour ahead of us. So we will go ahead and just jump right in. Also, just so you know, we will be using the Mentimeter application. So Erin and I, you'll see us kind of carrying our phones. That's how we're controlling the slides. I promise we're not TikToking or like texting or anything like that throughout our time here. So before we jump into the content, we really just want to take this moment to kind of pause and feel like the gratitude in the room. You know, I think these, the flowers, right, they're so beautiful. We have a beautiful day outside, right? It's sunny, it's so warm out. We've been like needing this in Western New York. I'm loving it. So, you know, we're feeling lots of gratitude today. So I just want all of us to kind of take a pause, think about something that you're grateful for in this space, and really just take in, you know, the great experience of DD Day. I love DD Day. I've been coming here for so many years, and it's just so amazing that, you know, we get to chat with all of you for the next hour around something that, you know, Erin and I are both very passionate about. So this is me. Again, my name is Carlie Arnone. I was born and raised in North Buffalo, so I am a Buffalonian through and through. I love the Buffalo Bills. I didn't even want to talk about it. We're on the long game plan. I have a 4-year-old Bernedoodle named Lola, who I just love so dearly. And I'm really passionate about creativity, inclusivity, and having some fun. So next up, I want Erin to have a moment to also introduce herself, my co-facilitator for the day.
Yeah, I'll echo Carlie. We're so honored that we get to be here and learn from all of you. So thank you for choosing this session. So I'm Erin McGee, part of the Person-Centered Services team. So a little bit about me. I'm not from Buffalo. I grew up in Ohio. So I say tennis shoes, and everyone looks at me like, "Do you play tennis?" I'm like, "No, that's what we call them. Tennis shoes, not sneakers in my house." I lived in New York City. I lived in Pittsburgh, and then my husband and I landed in Buffalo, and we thought we'd stay a couple years, and we've been here almost 20 years. So we love it. It's a great place to call home. One of my favorite places to be is on the sideline cheering for my kids. We're into softball and baseball in my house, so we have a lot of games, and it's really fun, and I love watching my kids go out there and do what makes them happy. And our family goal is to get to all of the MLB ballparks at some point. We're like 3 in. We have 4 planned this year, so we're slowly getting there, and I'm a big believer in the power of positivity. So that's a little bit about Carlie and I, and then over the next hour, I think we'll get to hear from a lot of you as well. All right, so let's get started. So we want this session to be fun and interactive with all of you. So there's a couple ways you can engage. Come on in for those of you just joining us. Come on in. We're getting
up close and personal today,
y'all. Come and join us. So for those of you who have smartphones or want to engage on your phone, open up your smartphone. Open up as if you are about to take a photo and scan that QR code. Yeah, come on in. We have lots of spots over here if you want to hang out along the wall, or there you go. All right, so you all can join us via Mentimeter if you'd like to engage on your phone. So scan that QR code and you will be invited to join on your phone. This doesn't pull any information from you, so it is a safe way to engage. So we'll give a couple minutes. We'll let you all get settled. If you aren't comfortable, if you don't want to join on your phone, we brought the good old-fashioned dry erase paddles. You can write your answers on there and hold them up. You can also shout out your answers. This is meant to be fun and interactive, so engage however you are most comfortable. A couple rules. If you are on, oh, there we go. Okay, and if any of you are on Mentimeter on your phone and you get disconnected, no worries. The instructions are right up there at the top of the screen. So at any time, you can open up your browser, retype in menti.com and use the code and join us right where we are in the slides. Just as a friendly reminder, if you're engaging using Mentimeter on your phone, anything you share will be shared on the screen. So if you have something private to share, I would encourage you to wait to do that until afterwards. And like I said, you can raise your hand, you can shout out answers, you can use the dry erase paddles and contribute. This is for you. We want to learn and grow together. Okay, so for those of you on Menti, your first question should be popping up on your phone. And for those of you using the dry erase paddles, get your marker ready. We want to ask you a question. Oh, let's see. Let me go back. Okay, share what makes you who you are. On the screen, we're going to build a word cloud. And for those of you using your paddles, just hold up those answers.
It got so quiet. Everyone's concentrating.
People, I love that. Thank you. So the question is, share what makes you who you are. You can shout out your answer. Nice person. Oh, my parents' family. I love that. Personality, family. I love these answers. Happy. That's a great one.
Awesome.
Yes. I'm sorry. Say like loyalty. That's a wonderful word. Thank you.
Nice person. Here, I see your paddle back there. Good one.
Family, unique, devoted, loyalty. My choices. I love that one. Oh, these are great. Special beliefs, passionate, leisure activities, right? That makes us who we are. Yeah, shout it out.
I question. The name Erin. And I'm right. Okay.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, this is awesome. A mother, creating spirituality. Yeah, so all these words make us all who we are. We're all unique and different and beautiful in all these different ways. And in the next hour, we'll talk through about authenticity and ways that we can really embrace our authenticity and bring it to life and all that we do. So I'm going to turn it over to Carlie to talk through a little bit of some of our next conversation topics.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. And thanks, everyone, for engaging in that quick exercise to get us warmed up here. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk a little bit about what is authenticity exactly. What does it mean, kind of in the plainest of terms? We'll talk about why authenticity is so important just as humans, right? Whether we're showing up in our spaces as those family members, as friends, as professionals, right? That authenticity comes through in all of those roles that we wear, that we play, right? All those different hats that we wear. We'll talk about also how to lean into authenticity, kind of practicing this a little bit more. How can we get to know ourselves a bit better so that we can lean into that and really exhibit our authentic selves and what that's about? So during this, hour-long session here, we're good on time already. We really want to be challenged to open up and hear from each other, really gain some new perspectives, right? And then, we're going to go through a lot of different tools and strategies that we all can tap into in order to enhance that authenticity. So we hope that all of you will take away at least one of those tools or strategies as you kind of move forward in your journey as individuals, as humans. So let's talk about the definition of authenticity. What exactly is it? So by definition, it means of undisputed origin or genuine. And then we see this amazing quote on the slide by Brene Brown, who is a very famous researcher, podcast host. What else is her role? Professor, she wears so many hats. And she says, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. I love that. I think it's so powerful. And then go back to that word cloud that we just created, right? There were so many different words exhibited on that word cloud. Things like faith, right? My community, my family, my animals, I think I saw. All of those things are valid. Every single thing that you all wrote on your paddles, on that word cloud, those are valid. And that's what makes you who you are. So we really want to focus on that today, embracing who we are, right? Not stretching to be anyone else, not trying to conform to the larger groups, let's say, but again, really honing in on what makes us, us. All right, so now let's continue talking about authenticity. Let's dive into it a little bit more. So this is an incredible visual, I think, that really talks about authenticity and all of the different pieces about it. So we see on our sort of lower level red circle, sort of to the left-hand side of the screen, is B. So that means being true to yourself, right? Being true to yourself in order to be authentic. So what is it about you that makes you you? So think about that word cloud, right? Think about those responses. Next, we go to that know. So that yellow circle that we see on the top there, that's knowing about yourself, right? Knowing about yourself and your impact on those around you. So when we think about know, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the next couple of slides, but really it's just, again, about leaning into ourselves, spending some time with ourselves, getting to know ourselves. You know, a lot of this work requires that we look in the mirror and that we really spend some time understanding the things that make us who we are, whether it's our values, our beliefs, our biases, right? These are things that we have to know about ourselves in order, again, to hone into that authenticity, to enhance those levels of authenticity a bit more. And then finally, we see that do circle. So it's that blue circle sort of towards the right of our slide there. This is doing things that align with your authenticity, right? So if you really value family, then that means probably spending time with those family members, right? Doing those things together that you all enjoy. So all of these three concepts, the be, know, and do, that all together is your authentic self. All three of those concepts kind of, add up into our one true self there. So this next sort of statement, this actually came from a study by healthypsych.com, where researchers found that people who scored higher on a measure of authentic living reported greater happiness, which is major, more positive emotions, and higher self-esteem than people who reported being less authentic. More authentic people also reported having better relationships with others and more personal growth. So again, knowing ourselves and how we best connect with others. I think that, this sort of summary of that research really just shows us how powerful being yourself truly is, right? Just because we see all of the benefits that come from leaning into our organic selves and who we are. So now, we see that model, right? Kind of simple, right? 3 circles. It's like, oh yeah, that's easy. I can do that, no problem, right? That's just me. I just got to operate how I normally do. So we see why this is so important, but sometimes it's so hard to lean into this, right? Just like anything, authenticity does take practice. It takes a little bit more of that effort, let's say, in order to truly, really understand, again, ourselves and how we impact those around us. So we know, again, much easier said than done to kind of practice this or put this into those tangible activities, right, that we can engage in to achieve authenticity or strive towards it, I should say. So I'll turn it back to Erin now to talk through about some of those strategies and those things that we all can do, again, to kind of enhance our journey moving forward.
Yeah, thank you, Carlie. So we're going to talk through that be, know, and do. So we just challenge you to think through these and think, what are the little pieces you could take away? So first we're going to talk about be. What are the ways that you can be true to yourself to find your most authentic self? So does anyone want to share a time where you really felt like you were just the most comfortable, feeling really authentic about what you were doing or the activity you were engaging in?
Riding my bike.
Ooh, awesome. Yes,
I love
right?
that.
Wind in your hair, you're just feeling good, happy, probably pretty calm, right? Yeah, awesome. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Playing basketball with my peers.
I love that.
Basketball.
That's
I saw your
awesome.
hand go up back there.
I did a presentation for disability for people with sexuality.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Way to
Yes.
go.
Thank you.
That's great.
That's amazing. So we all Carlie and I love Brene Brown. Have any of you heard of Brene Brown? A little, yes? Okay, I see a couple hands. So we're going to get you really introduced to Brene today. We're going to listen to a little story that Brene shared about, it's from her book called Atlas of the Heart, which is a fantastic read or listen, depending if any of you are into books. And she really talks through all these different emotions and feelings and kind of breaks it down. She calls herself a researcher with soul, which is so cool. She's not just into the data, she's into the data, but then she translates it into stuff that we can really think about and relate to. So we love some Brene. So I'm going to share with you this quote from her book, Atlas of the Heart. Let's see if we can get the tech to work. I was going to read it to you, and I thought, time out. Who can read it better than Brene herself? So she can't be here today. But I did find her on Audible, and she said she'd be glad to share it with us. So here we go. Let's see if we can get it to work.
Swimming is the trifecta for me. Exercise, meditation, and alone time. When I'm swimming laps, you can't talk to me, you can't call me. It's just me and the black stripe. The only thing that can ruin a swim is when I shift my attention from my lane to what's happening in the lanes next to me. It's embarrassing, but if I'm not paying attention, I can catch myself racing the person next to me, or comparing our strokes, or figuring out who has the best workout set. When I go into comparison, I completely lose the meditation and alone time I need. And I once hurt my shoulder trying to race a 20-something triathlete in the lane next to me. I have this picture hanging in my study of just a pool lane, and it's actually my pool. I brought my phone out, which I never have my phone close to the water for obvious reasons, but one day I just brought it out, and I got really close to the water and just took a picture of the lane that I normally swim in. And it hangs now in my study as a reminder to focus on my journey and to stop checking the lanes next to me. This applies to my time in the pool and everything else, how I parent, my work, my relationships, everything. Researching comparison helped me understand that, like it or not, I'm probably going to check the lanes next to me. But what I do next is up to me. Let's dive in. Get it? But I had to use a swimming putt.
All right, so that's a little quote from Brene's book, Atlas of the Heart. And it's such a good reminder for us, right? That we should find where we feel the most authentic and stay in it and enjoy it, and try to avoid looking to the lanes right and left of us. Have we all done that? Where you're feeling really good about yourself and then you start comparing. And then suddenly you're like, oh, well, maybe my weekend wasn't as good as this person on social media. We've maybe all done it. I know I definitely have. So it's a good reminder to focus on what makes us happy, whether it's riding our bike or giving a presentation, and try to keep it in a safe spot and remember it. So here's some other ways we wanted to bring to light ways to find your most authentic self. So like Brene said, limit comparison. If we ever find ourselves maybe scrolling on social media at other people's highlight reels and kind of getting down about ourselves, you know, like, wow, my weekend, we didn't fly to Paris on a private jet. Gosh, like I thought ice cream was fun, right? Like we got to be careful. We have to make sure we're not limiting, we're not comparing ourselves to everybody else's highlight reel. We can be happy for people and then remember all that we have too. So take a personal inventory, really identify when you're most happy, what's most important to you. Think about how you can practice mindfulness so that you are present and doing what you love and not getting caught up in others. Really listen to your thoughts and emotions and just know what makes you happy. Take time to make a list of when I do these things, I'm most happy. And then really advocate for yourself, set up boundaries so that you can find time to do those things. All right, over to Carlie to talk about the no side of this image.
Yes. So knowing who we are and how we impact those around us. I love this circle. I mean, I love all three circles, but I really love this part of the circle because, again, it's about leaning into who we are, right? Really understanding who exactly we are and what that means as our true authentic selves. So we really need to be, again, introspective, looking in the mirror, really exploring those things that are important to us. And so here, you know, this is where we talk a little bit about self-awareness, you know, ways that we can enhance our self-awareness and, you know, engage in some self-awareness activities. So really, you know, self-awareness is all about being able to see yourself clearly and objectively through a lot of that reflective work, right? So kind of like to Erin's point earlier, you know, taking note, a personal inventory of those things that make us happy, or those moments when we feel like really passionate and excited about something that we're doing or hearing or even talking about, right? We have to hone in on those, right? Take notice of those and really hold on to those and figure out those passions, right? Those things that really excite or interest us, or things that we feel really motivated to do. So again, this really involves us understanding our own thoughts, feelings, values, beliefs, those actions, and again, our biases too, right? What are some of those mental shortcuts we know that we take that maybe we need to challenge a little bit more? So the next slide, this is going to be a little engagement here for everyone in this space. So for those of you that have your paddle, feel free to just write these numbers on the paddle if you don't want to get that phone out. But here we're asking you to rate the following statements. So for those of you that have your Mentimeter, it should pop up on your screen. So we're asking you on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being strongly disagree to 10 being strongly agree. Do you regularly practice self-awareness? So if you feel like you're doing this every day, you're engaging in some activities every day to really reflect on who you are, you know, you might be a 10. You might say, oh, I'm good at this. I got this down pat. And then if maybe, you know, you're not really sure about what that looks like, but you're interested in learning more, you know, maybe you'll rate yourself on that lower end. There's no right or wrong answer here. So please, you know, answer honestly. And then I want you to think about your inner circle. So think about, you know, the 2 to 5 most trusted people in your life. And then think about if they practice self-awareness, or if they practice, you know, these self-awareness activities on that same scale. So it looks like most of your responses are in, which is great. So about 7.5, I regularly practice self-awareness. It looks like all of us are kind of on that top half of the scale where we do, you know, we regularly practice this. So let's get a round of applause for ourselves in the room. We love that. And then thinking about our inner circle, it looks like maybe they have a little bit of work to do around that practicing self-awareness, which, you know, I think that's pretty valid.
How about for those of you with paddles? Do you want to hold up your answer if you're comfortable?
The paddle peeps.
What do we all think? Do you practice self-awareness?
Ooh, all right. I'm seeing a 10.
Yeah,
I like that.
Awesome.
And a 5 and a 6 up front. Beautiful. Thank you all. So now we are going to sort of shift gears, thinking about the same statement. I regularly practice self-awareness. And then also think about your inner circle, right? Those people in your life that maybe could do a little bit more work around the self-awareness sphere there. So we have another prompt for all of you to engage in quickly. We want you to answer this question. What % of people are actually self-aware? So think of, you know, a percentage along this continuum from 0 to 100%. What % of people are actually self-aware?
Ooh, we need Jeopardy music right now. Da, 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 da.
Holly, I didn't even see you down there. Yes, sir. What's that? Yep, we're asking the scale. So what % of people are actually self-aware? So do we think maybe like 5%? Maybe it's more like 90%?
90%.
All right, we're thinking, all right, we have a vote for more on the higher end.
40%.
All right, 40%. Charlie's saying 25. All right. 3. So 3% or 30%. All right. Good
Isn't
guesses.
that the percentage of dentists that recommend a toothpaste too? Something like that?
3 out of 10?
I think so.
Awesome. So hopefully everybody had the opportunity. Oh, I'm seeing some answers on this paddles there. And then hopefully everyone has the opportunity to enter their response in on Mentimeter. And we will show you the actual percentage, 90%, in just a second. So just so you all know, Erin and I aren't making this up, right? This is something that we found from Tasha Urich. She just wrote a book called Insight, which is all about organizational psychology. And so she talks about a topic that a lot of people think that they mastered, which is self-awareness. So our percentage of people that are actually self-aware is, drum roll, 13%.
That's rough.
Right? So let's hear some of these like
Wow.
reactions. Like, what do you think when you hear that number?
Low, right? Yeah.
Very
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a great question. That's a good point. So to that sense, the question was, how did she test that? You know, your perception versus reality. So all of us as humans, our perception is our reality, right? So I believe that it was a lot of anecdotal like collection, like data collection. And then I know that she did kind of like break it down into like some type of, you know, but we can definitely follow up with some resources if you're interested. Yeah, cool. So, you know, I think this is really fascinating, right? Because a lot of us feel like we are really self-aware. I mean, all of us really have those high numbers, right? Which is incredible. You know, we're doing this work, right? All of you are investing in authenticity because you're in this space today, right? But we can see sort of more generally that maybe people aren't actually as self-aware as they think they are. So why is that? You know, why is this the disconnect, right? So I love this GIF or that visual, the more you know, right? So that same author, Tasha Eurich, she writes that, you know, we naturally have these blind spots. So we sort of already talked about those biases a little bit, right? Those mental shortcuts that we've taken just maybe out of survival or learned experiences, right? We're kind of wired to operate on autopilot. All of us probably have 1,000,001 things to do in any given day, right? So it's kind of hard for us to be super intentional every step that we take, every move that we make, every journey that we're taking moving forward. But we really, yeah, nice rainbow, right?
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, so we really have to understand, you know, how we're behaving and the things that we're doing and why we're behaving in that way. The second reason for the disconnect is this feel-good effect, which I think is really, I think it's so applicable. Just thinking about like humans, right? We, you know, we're naturally happier when we see ourselves in a good light, right? So again, that's where this self-awareness work really comes into play. Not to say that we're right or wrong in the things that we're doing, but just noticing them, really challenging ourselves to lean into those things a little bit more. And then finally, that last piece is the cult of self. And this kind of, you know, speaks to Erin's point a little bit earlier about like social media, right? Limiting those comparisons and those swimming lanes. The idea, you know, of the cult of self is that we really have become a little bit more self-absorbed as social media has really exploded in popularity. So we're seeing things, you know, plastered across our screens at, you know, every second of every day. I mean, we have mini computers that we walk around with, right? So that's sort of where that cult of self comes from, is this, you know, that added emphasis on social media and really how big it is in our lives. And that really does, you know, disconnect us from what is actual truth about this self-awareness work. All right, Erin, you're up next with the do.
All right, how we doing? I think we're all a little warm.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if we can do much about that, except maybe like visualize yourself in a cold tundra. Think about all those
I know.
snowy days that we were like, it's never going to be warm. So now it is, and we're all in this little teeny spot together. So, all right, so we talked about ways to be authentic, focusing on places and times where we feel best and really hitting our own stride. We talked about ways to kind of know how to be authentic, so a little self-awareness, looking in the mirror. Now let's talk about things we can do, because we all love things to do. Who loves a to-do list?
Ooh.
Yes. Okay, so let's think about little things that we can do that we can focus on our own authenticity. Okay, so first we're going to start with self-talk. Does anyone in here talk to themselves? Right, most of us do it. Either under our breath, in our brains, or even
out
sometimes
loud.
Out loud, right? Yeah. Sometimes I'll be working at home and my husband will come home and he'll be like, are you in a meeting? Who are you talking to? I'm like, me. It's me. I'm just chatting it out to myself. So self-talk, we do it all the time. We think about ourselves. We talk about what we do, all in our brain. Oh, there we go. Okay, so one thing I want you all to think about, things to do to focus on your most authentic self, is focus on that positive self-talk. Think about how we're talking to ourselves and narratives we're giving to ourselves, because it can be really powerful. We're our only person who's going to be by our side our whole lives. So we have to be careful what we tell ourselves. So positive self-talk can be really powerful. Look at some of these benefits. A healthier immune system, right? Who doesn't need that? When you have a busy weekend, you don't want to be homesick. You want a healthy immune system. So talk to yourself positively, reduce pain, better health, improved mental health, self-esteem, reduce stress, better physical well-being. And the biggest thing is an increased lifespan. So Carlie and I had the chance to be here last year at DD Day. We had the opportunity to share kind of some of the power of positivity. And through research, it has been determined that people who have a positive outlook in life, in general, live 7 years longer. So think about, what would you love to do for 7 years? Trips to the beach, maybe spending time with family, maybe bike rides. So just having a positive outlook can give you a longer lifespan. So think about that positive self-talk. So this is hard, right? Because I think we maybe sometimes are critical of ourselves. So I want to identify 4 times where there might be some negative self-talk and name it. So as we maybe do it, or hopefully we don't, but if we do, we can start to say, okay, that's one of those negative self-talk items I need to stop doing. And if you ever think about too, like the stuff you say, maybe in your thoughts to yourself, or ways you kind of talk to yourself, like, would you ever say that out loud to a best friend or a family member? I don't know. I would challenge you to think about that. I know sometimes I can be very critical of myself, and I think that that's probably the norm. So, okay, so here are 4 types of negative self-talk that we might fall into. We just want to bring awareness to them. So if you find yourself doing it, you can stop and say, no, I'm not going to talk to myself that way. So one is magnifying. So think about, did you ever go on a great vacation and then you came back, but the things that you really let kind of ruminate in your brain is like the fact that, like, oh, you lost your luggage, that was so annoying, or that bad sunburn. Or maybe you had a really great weekend, but somebody dropped an ice cream cone, and then that's all you're thinking about, or that's all you're talking about as a family. So that's kind of magnifying when a lot of things are going great in life, when we choose to focus on the things that maybe aren't as great. And it's okay to address them, but we don't want to shine a magnifying glass on them. So if you catch yourself doing it, it's okay, but flip the script. And when you're talking about that awesome vacation or that really good weekend, list 5 good things that went well, or 5 good things that you're going to think about. You know, don't let yourself go down that rabbit hole of maybe the one comment you said to somebody and you're like, oh, I wish I would have phrased it different. It's okay. Give yourself grace and think about maybe 5 things you did well that day. Okay, so that's magnifying. The next is catastrophizing. I don't know. Am I saying that right? Catastrophizing?
It sounds right.
I've been saying this word all week, and I'm like, I don't think I'm saying it right. Anybody know how to say it? Is that right? Okay. Thank you. So that is when one little thing goes bad, and we say, I spilled coffee on my shirt. My whole day's done. It's just going to be a terrible day. Have we ever done that? Yeah.
Did you? See?
Yeah.
See? There it is.
Time to go though. She was prepared.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Can't even tell.
It's going to melt, right?
Yeah.
I know.
ice
It's a
cream?
bummer. I love ice cream, and if that was my cone, I'd be feeling the feels.
I'd be catastrophizing that.
Oh my
I would. So I would say, Carlie, it's okay. Let's think of 5 things that are going well. Yeah. So just because one thing goes poorly, don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it determine your weekend. Like, oh gosh, you know, I got out of work late Friday. Oh, I guess my weekend's, it's just a sign how my weekend's going to be, right? Flip the script. Okay. Next is polarizing. So that is really thinking about only amazing success or failure. So if one thing goes poorly, saying, oh, I'm such a failure. That's considered polarizing, when you're really only giving yourself 2 options, and it's really hard to reach that one option. So you assume everything else falls under that bad zone. Okay. And then lastly is personalizing. So how about, have any of you ever been in a room or a work day and somebody walks in, like your boss might walk in and you could tell they're kind of in a bad mood? And what do you think? You think, yeah, it's me. Oh my gosh, they're so mad at me. I'm going to get fired today. We've all done it. I know you're laughing because you've done it. Yes. Yeah.
My boss, being the boss. Being the boss.
Leanne is his boss.
Oh, Leanne's your boss?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Is Leanne here?
Yeah. I'm here.
Oh, around? Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, don't let her, if she has a bad day, don't let it
Affect
turn your day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's personalizing. So if you found yourself in that trap, challenge yourself to think, nope, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay. So what are some ways we can overcome this negative self-talk? I feel like you all have kind of said, yeah, I do a little bit of that. So what are some ways you're going to overcome it? You can either add it in Mentimeter, you can shout it out, you can write it on your dry erase paddle.
Does anybody need a tissue for their dry erase paddle to get rid of what's going on or what was on there originally?
You better make sure the
my
computer's not
cartridges.
falling asleep too.
Sorry, excuse my reach, Lindsay. I'm sorry. Anybody else? You do, Charlie.
All right, I see some answers. Okay, talk about it. Yes, just name it, talk about it, and say, oh, I'm doing some negative self-talk, right? Focus on the positive. Absolutely, absolutely. We don't want you to think about, it's not meant to be toxic positivity, but we also want you to be mindful. If you're starting to go down that path of being really tough on yourself, flip the script. Go ahead. I see your hand is up.
I feel like sometimes reminding yourself that, like, a lot of things just happen. That they just happen. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is.
Yes.
You know, because sometimes even when focusing on the positive, like, there's this big, thing in front of you that you can't not focus on. You have to pay attention to, and you can't twist it in any way to make it positive. But it's okay. Like, it just is, and that things are going to continue on and like this will pass.
Yes, I love that. Like, get good at doing the hard stuff. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And what I heard from that too, just to kind of expand, is that we can only control what we can control, right? And I think that's really hard, especially a lot of us in this work, right? In human services, we want to fix and help. And sometimes it's out of our control. So only being able to focus on those things that we have control over, that's so important. It is what it is. I love that.
These are some great answers. Prayer.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Vocalize it. Breathe. Yeah, just let that negativity kind of just breathe. Get it out of your system. My little guy had some neuro challenges as a little guy. And one of the coolest things his therapist taught him when he was like 3, and I'm like, wow, I needed this, was she would sing a little song about, like, this is how you slow your body down. And I was like, oh, I wish I would have learned this when I was 3, because it was just all about, like, okay, let's slow our body down, let's slow our thoughts down, and then you can get to a better spot of making decisions. So I won't sing to you, because you would, like, give us the worst score ever of this, but you can put it to a little tune if you want. Write it down. So many good answers. Be your own best friend. I love that. I don't know who wrote that, but that is awesome. Yes.
Anessa, my friend.
Oh, yeah?
Anessa.
Oh, good.
Aw.
Yeah, those
your best friend?
Yeah. My buddy.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
I look forward to
Oh.
We're all our best friends.
Aw. Yeah, be your own best friend. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace. Okay, so we're going to talk about one more item, and then we're going to give you all the chance to have some conversations together. So, okay, I lied. Two quick items, but they'll be quick. 2 quick items. Okay, so next is, when it comes to authenticity, stay curious. So it's such a powerful way. When you're with people around you, just think about being curious. Ask questions. Say, tell me more about that. think about the world, get curious, ask questions. I just learned today about, I'm going to say it wrong, geocaching.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. There's so many things in this world. So staying curious can help you learn so much more so you can continue to be authentic with yourself and others. And then the last one we're going to challenge you to think about in being authentic is something you could do is try to create a judgment-free zone. So how often in life are we quick to walk into a room or see somebody or see something and make judgments that maybe aren't totally accurate, right? And our brain is wired to do that. I mean, our brain is created to help us make judgments for safety reasons, you know? So if you're going on a hike and you see this big furry animal, our brain is saying like, hey, you better be careful. There's a lion. Or do you just not hike? You just get ice cream instead. But, you know, our brain is wired to make judgments to keep us safe. And then we have to control what direction those go. So think about how your thoughts and statements, are they judgments or are they fact-based? So one way you could do that is think about every judgment you make, pretend it's a penny and put it in your pocket. And then think about how full your pockets are. Do you have a lot of pennies in there? Are you making a lot of judgments? If so, challenge yourself to kind of flip the script a little bit. Replace those judgmental thoughts with non-judgmental thoughts. And some other tips and tricks. Think about any judgmental facial expressions. Do you ever get caught talking to somebody like at a family reunion and you're like, oh yeah, that shirt is like great on you. Like, be careful. You have to be careful of your facial expressions. Are we laughing because we've done it? Maybe. So think about your facial expressions. Just soften your face. Just think like, this makes them happy. Is it hurting me? No, it's not hurting me. It's okay. And then write out descriptions of events that are non-judgmental. So if you're in your brain and you're at a social event and you're feeling judgy, go home and rewrite what happened in a non-judgmental way. So I'm going to share one quick story. Who knows who this is? Lady Gaga, right? She's incredible. She's a musician. She's just all about advocating for people and equity and fairness, and has done so many things for the arts world and has also used all of that to make such a difference in this world. So do you all remember the show she showed up to? It was like a giant egg. Yeah, right? So I remember going into work the next day and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this egg outfit. What the heck? And my boss at the time, Karen, who I love, I was like, wow, what was she thinking? I was being all judgy. And she said, Erin, do you know that she took so much time? She was expressing herself. She was an artist. She was being creative. And I realized at that moment, that's so true. It was beautiful and unique and different. And I was all caught up on making jokes about egg salad. So it just taught me so much that when we see people who might have different thoughts or beliefs, it's not up to us to judge them. It's up to us to recognize that they're different and beautiful, and we can learn from it. We can learn from it. So that's the Lady Gaga story. And so next time, our challenge for all of you, next time if you're watching a red carpet show, because the critics come out for those. Ooh. So the people you're watching it with family or friends or roommates, challenge all the commentary to be focused on what's beautiful or unique or different about the outfits, the attire. Because whoever is walking that red carpet, right, they're putting themselves out there. So flip that judgment into something positive or something we can learn or grow from watching those celebrities. Yes.
Great point.
Yes. But try to have one of those Lady Gaga moments, right? Like, we don't need to make comments about the egg, but we can think about how cool it is, how much time went into that. And you can really open up your mind to celebrating other people's authenticity. So, okay, I'm going to turn it over to Carlie. We're going to do a little activity now.
Yes. So we are all going to engage in this quick exercise that we've sort of titled story sharing. So we want you to get together into small groups. You could do this with the person next to you, your entire row, whatever that looks like. And, each person, we're asking you to share within your groups a personal story that highlights a moment or a time where you felt truly authentic, where you felt like you were yourself through and through, no questions asked. I know that we're at 11:31 right now, so we'll take about 7 minutes to do this. How did that go?
Good.
Lots of chatter going. That was great to hear. What were our feelings about, sort of being able to share in that way? Anybody want to kind of share their experience through that little exercise?
Vulnerability.